Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we are going to review the Kreg track saw and the 62-inch guide rail. And I also got some other little toys with it. Also got the parallel guides and the splinter guards. So stick around, I'll show you how it works and we'll do a little review or whatnot. Ooh, it's got pictures. Yes. Wait, that's French. I don't know French. First things first is that we need a work surface. So we're going to break out the Boris Centipede and throw some rigid foam on top of it. And then we're going to throw an old piece of plywood on that I use for finishing. You probably saw this plywood before in my last video when I was putting some shellac on the desk. Click the card for that video right here. So let's see what's in the box. First you get a carrying case. This carrying case is not bad. It's kind of flimsy, but it'll do. It also comes with a dust bag and the saw itself. Now, I also got the parallel guides that come with it. These things will keep the track an equal distance on both sides, and then you can do a lot of good repeatable cuts with it. So right now, I'm just installing the screws that will glide on the track. The actual guide has rubber foam plastic on the bottom of it that keeps it from not moving at all. Wow, look at that. That's cool. Next, install the extension cord thing on the back. We're actually about to take this off in a minute, so don't do that yet. Now install the dust bag, and then we are ready to cut the initial zero clearance. We're going to drop the saw down to probably, I think this is 1/8 of an inch. Then we're going to place the guide on the middle of the plywood. We're going to remove this little extension thing. And then we're going to cut a thin strip. This will give you your zero clearance. We're going to make a couple of test cuts. So I'm taking my T-square out and marking a line about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And then we're going to place that guide right on that line. And then we're going to make our cut. Nice and chip free, like that. Next, we are going to use the parallel guides to cut out a strip at 24 inches. The parallel guides just slide into the T-track at the edge of the rail. These measurements are set to 24 inches, and then you just butt up the end of the tape measure to the plywood and make your cut. This actually worked very, very well. It was off maybe a 32nd of an inch, but that was probably user error. Kreg includes 2 onboard Allen wrenches. These are to release the arbor screw for the blade, which this does not come off yet, so we're going to have a little talk about that, Kreg. And the second Allen key is to adjust the splinter guard. There's been some complaints on Kreg's DIY community Facebook page about the side-to-side play with the saw. I don't really see that. There are 2 adjustment knobs on the side of the saw that will tighten the saw to the track. You tighten those knobs all the way down, then back them out just a little bit. It will eliminate that side-to-side plate and the saw will glide smoothly. Now I'm going to move on to cutting out a diagonal piece. I'm going to mark my measurements and then use a straight edge to mark the line, place the guide rail on the line, and then make the cut. This worked incredibly well. That guide did not move one bit. Next, we are going to perform a bevel cut. You unscrew the knobs in the front and the back, and the whole housing will move at an angle. This saw goes up to 47 degrees, so I put it at 45 and tighten the knobs back down. And then we're going to make the cut at the edge of the piece of plywood. This was a little awkward. It felt like the saw was unbalanced and it was going to fall off the track. I mean, it went okay, but I wasn't very impressed with this operation. All right, let's go over some features of this saw. This saw features a 12 amp 120 volt motor with a blade brake. Basically means when you release the trigger, the blade stops immediately. Saw also features a variable speed setting that will go from 2,000 RPMs all the way up to 5,500 RPMs, which is actually the higher end RPMs of any saw in the market right now. This guy came out, a lot of people had some questions about its build quality. The build is basically very, very durable, hard plastic. I haven't had any issues with it. It feels great in your hand. It feels solid, it's sturdy, and yeah, I mean, it basically is built pretty well. Now, when I went out to look for track saws, it was between the Makita and the Kreg. I actually bought a Festool TS55, but then I had some buyer's remorse and returned it. We're not going to talk about that. Anyway, because it was $800. But one of the biggest differences between the Makita and the Kreg is that the Kreg had a riving knife to prevent kickback. That was a huge feature. The Kreg was also immediately available at Woodcraft, and I would have had to wait a couple of months for the Makita because of the whole COVID thing. Now, you can also purchase an extension for the guide rail to cut full sheets of plywood. I don't really need that, but some people would like to have that, but it is available. You can purchase it separately. But I have a Bora NGX with a circular saw sled that will cut full sheets, so I will use that if I have to. All right, guys, let's go over some pros. The first pro is probably the biggest pro. It comes with a blade brake and a riving knife, which is a huge safety feature. The guide rail is very well designed, and when you stick it on a piece of sheet goods, it will not move one bit. It also comes with a top T-track and a bottom T-track, so you can add some clamps at the bottom if you would like to. The saw operation is incredibly smooth and easy to handle. The plunge mechanism is incredibly easy to push down. The adjustments for the blade depth and the side guide rails are awesome. A lot of people said the motor is a bit underpowered. I didn't really have any problems with it. It didn't bog down. It didn't stop working. An added bonus feature to this saw, which I actually really like, is that the zero clearance strip is permanently attached to the guide rail. I've had some before where they just have like a little 3M strip that you peel off the back and then stick it to the guide rail, which is not very good because it will come off eventually. The parallel guides, these guys right here, are awesome. All right, they're an extra cost, but they're also cheaper than some of the parallel guides for other saws. They work very well. You got to dial them in pretty good to make them accurate, but take your time and you will get nice repeatable cuts. The next pro is going to be the dust chute. This dust chute right here, it's pretty well designed. It collects a lot of dust. I like these things because you can take the dust and then make a paste with some glue and you can have some wood filler with it. All right, guys, let's go over some cons. The first con is going to be the bevel cut operation. It is kind of awkward and it feels like it's very unbalanced and it feels like the saw is going to fall off the track. But it works, so if you're looking for something with a good bevel cut operation, this saw is probably not for you. The second con is going to be the extension holder on the end of the rail. It seems to pop off every once in a while when you're cutting. It's not that big of a deal. You just pop it back on, but it gets kind of annoying. The saw is not cordless, which would have been pretty convenient, but it's not a big deal to plug it into an extension cord. The arbor bolt was screwed on very tightly in the factory, so I had a hard time getting it off. Actually, I never got it off. I tried both directions, left and right thread, but it still would not come off. I'll have to fiddle with it for a little bit longer, but it was kind of an inconvenience. Okay, guys, I'm going to give this saw a 9 out of 10. I was very skeptical going into this purchase, but once I got the saw out and started using it for a while, I was very impressed overall. The operation and the kickback and blade brake are incredible. The guide rail, when you put it on a piece of plywood, does not move at all, even in angled cuts. The parallel guides, which is an extra accessory, I highly recommend getting them because they work very well. Once you dial them in, you can do repeatable cuts all day long. The bevel cut operation is not very good. It's kind of awkward, and I wish it was cordless, but that's okay. I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and if you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. I also have a link to purchase this product in the description below. Also, hit that like button and share it with your friends, and if you think I deserved it, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Cheers.